was a journalist. She was a journalist. Killed by a terrorist. Killed by a terrorist.
I'm standing outside the New York Times headquarters in Lower Manhattan, where people have gathered outside to protest the New York Times coverage of the murder of Shireen Abu Aqleh. Shireen was a journalist with Al Jazeera, a household name throughout the Arab world, who was murdered by an Israeli soldier, shot in the head while wearing a vest that clearly identified her as press. The New York Times released an article saying that Shireen had died at the age of 51, omitting the fact that she was murdered by Israeli occupation forces.
The New York Times wasn't alone in using passive phrases to avoid assigning blame in the situation. When Israeli police beat the Palestinian pallbearers carrying Shireen Abu Aqleh's casket, almost causing the casket to hit the ground, the BBC tweeted out that violence had broken out at her funeral, even though video of the incident clearly shows that Israeli police decided to attack the mourners. One analysis of the New York Times coverage of Palestine in a one-month period in 2015 showed that the New York Times used the word terrorist 42 times in reference to Palestinian violence, but only once in reference to Israeli violence. An analysis of 17,000 New York Times articles about the Second Intifada showed that the New York Times mentioned Israelis in 93% of the articles, while mentioning Palestinians in only 50% of the articles, despite the fact that Palestinians accounted for anywhere between 3 to 5 times more deaths during this period than Israelis. It was just this summer when the New York Times described mobs of ultra-right-wing Israelis forcing people out of their homes as evictions. Like the rest of the corporate-owned media, when it comes to issues concerning war and empire, the New York Times reports whatever the US State Department says and calls it the truth. War crimes and exploitation thrive in darkness, which explains why Shireen Abu Aqleh's journalism posed such a threat to Israel. She was always ready to shine a light.
She was targeted for spreading awareness. She was silenced for exposing Zionist war crimes. And she was specifically targeted for carrying one of the strongest weapons anyone can carry, a camera. A camera that she used to resist against the Zionist colonizing forces. A camera that she used to amplify her voice and the voices of many other Palestinians in Palestine. And it's ironic because she spent her entire life close to death. She spent her entire life witnessing martyrdom. Now that we witnessed her martyrdom, it's up to us to do what she would have done. It's up to us to be here in the streets and demand justice. It's up to us to amplify her voice to the entire world.